the whistleblower gave us a 53-page training document from a whistleblower from the Westerly School District in Rhode Island, which details how the public schools there were using teachers to push critical race theory. I talk often about the threat to our republic, and one of the major threats to our republic is the FBI and the Justice Department, which are out of control, which has been used repeatedly to target political enemies of those in power, specifically the Obama-Clinton gang in the 2016 election. Prior to that, you had them targeting, and they were using the IRS too, infamously, the Tea Party movement in 2012. And now they're targeting just average Americans going to school board meetings, complaining about Marxist propaganda, brainwashing going on under the guise of critical race theory, whatever you want to call it, in our nation's schools. And a liberal interest group, I think the National Association of School Board Administrators or something close to that, compared these parents to domestic terrorists and suggested the use of the Patriot Act to target them. And just like that, you had, because they work hand in glove with the administration, it's clear, you had Attorney General Garland essentially issue an all-hands-on-deck command to the national security establishment to target parents who are, quote, threatening school board members. Now, I'm sure that's taking place somewhere, but that's a state issue in the least. What business does the FBI have over this issue? None. And it's designed to intimidate parents from going to these school board meetings and letting their views be known, not only about the critical race theory extremism, the transgender agenda extremism, and the other threats to the safety and security and the privacy of their children. And they want everyone now to know that if you go to these board meetings, the FBI may come knocking for you. Now, we already knew that they were planning this, or, this was their attitude, using 1-6 as a pretext. Now that we've had reports that the FBI had a informant among the Capitol Hill 6 the January 6 protests, who entered the Capitol illegally. I mean, that's what they're told. If you entered the Capitol that day, it was illegal. You're a criminal. You're the worst criminal in the history of the United States. I exaggerate, but not too much when you look at the crazed filings and over-the-top statements by some of the judges here in the District of Columbia when talking about this incident. And the FBI knew. They were involved. In fact, the FBI was told by this informant, it's reported in the New York Times, that there was no grand conspiracy. So they moved around, now they moved forward a little bit from 1-6. Now they're targeting parents who are concerned about their children's curriculum. I mean, that's, the basic operations of our democracy is under attack from the Garland, Biden Justice Department and the corrupted FBI, which is still run by Chris Wray, by the way. And Judicial Watch has been front and center in highlighting these issues, exposing what's been going on, defending victims at the local level who, we have a Coach Mike Flynn who was fired and from Dedham High School's, as Dedham High School's football coach for objecting to his 7th grade, I think his daughter was in 7th grade at the time, ancient history class. She's getting taught Black Lives Matter and CRT propaganda. He said, "What's up with that?" And he took his daughter out of the school, and then they fired him a few months later for daring to object as a parent. So we're suing, civil rights lawsuit. Teacher in Illinois, same type of issue. She complains or talked about the crazed violence last summer. She got fired. So it's the civil rights of those who oppose the left that are being targeted. And I've said it before, Judicial Watch is a civil rights organization. I mean, we've taken the lead on some core civil rights issues. that the left pretended to be interested in with the ACLU and that type. I never believed that they were really interested in it because of their extremist nature. They were interested in civil liberties issues generally to attack the United States. It wasn't about civil liberties. It was about something else, which was attacking the United States. And sure enough, the ACLU is on the wrong side of virtually every civil liberties issue that's at issue right now. And it's Judicial Watch that stepped up. And a whistleblower came to Judicial Watch from just recently, Rhode Island. There's a school district up there, the Westerly School District, and Rhode Island's been a hotbed for this type of issue. And they gave us the whistleblower gave us a 53-page training document from a whistleblower from the Westerly School District in Rhode Island, which details how the public schools there were using teachers to push critical race theory. The training course was assembled by the left-leaning Highlander Institute. Go to their website and look them up. You'll see they are left-leaning. That's a charitable way of putting it. And it cites quotes from someone called Bettina Love, from whom the Biden administration had to distance itself publicly after her statements equating whiteness to oppression. So she's a racist. The school district continues to deny it teaches critical race theory, which I think is interesting in light of the document we uncovered as a result of this brave whistleblower. The training course for teachers, entitled, quote, Culturally Responsive and Sustaining Pedagogy, is taught by Vera de Jesus and Michaela Cornella, partners at the Highlander Institute, which has an about section on its website that describes itself again as a group that partners with the communities to imagine and create more equitable. Their equity is code for Marxism, relevant and effective schools. It's named after the Highlander Folk School, a social justice leadership training school and cultural center located in Tennessee. And it was known for its role during the civil rights movement. So maybe, it did some good work back in the day. Who knows? The training course claims that there are, quote, unfortunate truths about the history of Rhode Island and the United States. There is systemic inequity, again, that communist catch-all word, that must be overcome in the school system. So for those of you who don't follow this debate closely, the left has changed the terms of our social contract from equality for all to equity for all. Equality for all means that people have equal opportunity, no one is targeted because of their race, and the government is supposed to treat people fairly, equal protection of the law. Equity is outcomes. That's the Marxist. That no matter what people do, no matter how well off they are or what they do personally that may restrict their ability to succeed, there has to be equity in outcomes. And in order to do that, you require totalitarianism. That's why it's communist. So whenever you hear equity, substitute the word Marxism, substitute the word communism. And when you have politicians, I don't know if they know better or not. They should know better because, most of them are pretty smart. I know some of them may seem dumb, but, they generally know what they're saying. Equity is a code word for Marxism. The training course asks teachers how does, quote, systemic racism manifests itself in the education experience for students. So this training course tells teachers that their institutions are systemically racist, which means they're invalid, which means they should be torn down and destroyed. I mean, isn't that what it means? If it's systemically racist, how could any good, honest, ethical person of faith work in them? How? It's a Marxist way of saying something should be targeted for destruction in the revolution. The training course links to a video called Systemic Racism Explained from ACT.TV, ACT.TV, a far-left YouTube channel. Go to that YouTube channel. Don't go now because I still got a lot to say. And watch the videos. You'll see it's far left. The course instructs teachers to ask themselves, how do I challenge systemic inequity as an educator? So they want the teachers to become Marxist activists. And it gets worse. The course goals are to, quote, foster and sustain cultural pluralism, ultimately for the purposes of social transformation. Again, the revolutionary concepts. Further, its stated goal is to, quote, disrupt. They want your teachers to disrupt the impact of educational inequity. So they want them to, because the school system is systemically inequitable and systemically racist, the teachers are charged with disrupting the school systems and empower students to transform, again, the revolutionary term, transform from what to what? Their own lives, their communities, and society. So again, revolutionaries. It's not even just about the schools. They want the students to be trained to be little Marxist revolutionaries. Oh, they push about saying, goes on, awareness that we all operate within an inequitable system, as I've been saying, cognitive development, where teachers, quote, leverage students' identities and interests. So misuse personal information of students, quote, leverage, and scaffold and develop students' thinking skills. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Scaffold, I mean, that's just gobbledygook, corporate speak, but it's all commie. Critical consciousness, again, another Marxist term of art, where the goal is that students are motivated to critical action, again, a Marxist term of art, so they can transform their lives, communities, and societies. Now, in case you're wondering, well, Tom, that all sounds interesting, but that doesn't sound Marxist necessarily. I know you're drawing all these inferences, but maybe they're just using words they think are hip, right? Well, how about this? The course teaches that the teachers should focus on collectivism over individualism. Does that sound Marxist to you? It does to me. It's communism. In order to promote collectivism, it states that teachers may have to, quote, gather information about students' identities. Again, personal information requires students to identify themselves by race and whatever other category the left is deemed to be important in terms of dividing Americans to further the communist revolution. These activities link to a journaling activity where students are prompted to write about the demographics of their neighborhood. Oh, so they're going to be little East German Stasi soldiers watching to see and turn in and report on the demographics of their neighborhood. And what demographics are they going to be looking at? What is going on here? What is going on here? And so rather than threatening parents, a well-run Justice Department, the Civil Rights Division, should be investigating this rampant racism and abuse of power being pushed by these extremists, not only there in Rhode Island, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is going on all over the country. And the left is angry that parents are onto it, and that's why they're using the FBI to try to scare them and suppress them and jail them. The whistleblower documents show yet another school district under the rubric of critical race theory that wants to use teachers to abuse their positions and abuse our children, to turn them into Marxist agitators. So I don't know about you, but I'm pretty ticked about it. It's going on all over the place. It's in our corporations. They're trying to destroy our military with similar moves. And at Judicial Watch, as far as I'm concerned, we can't do enough to investigate it and expose it. We've already uncovered similar activities in Maryland's largest school district, where, as I said, we're representing in civil rights lawsuits the victims of those who are targeted by the leftist school board administrators who are trying to drum out of the schools, any teachers or anyone else who dares to dissent from the orthodoxy of the Marxist revolutionaries that are guiding our children's curriculum. So more is coming. More is coming. I have more documents coming out. I know there's more documents coming out because I've seen the material. So we're not going to stop. The FBI isn't going to intimidate me. It isn't going to intimidate my colleagues. It's not going to intimidate our attorneys or our investigators or our whistleblowers. And I guarantee you they're not going to intimidate you. Because I've talked to you. I know what the parents are about. And they are not going to be cowed by the Biden, Obama, Clinton gang. That's what I call the collective running the city now. So you can go and look at this document directly on our website at judicialwatch.org. You can support our work directly on our website at judicialwatch.org. More is coming on this, that's for sure.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the latest news from Judicial Watch.